Hello everyone, welcome back to another Transformers review, and as you can see this time I'm doing a very classic and iconic Transformer from the G1 line. This is of course Ironhide, and this particular one, as you can see from the pamphlet, is when they reissued back in, even like in the G1 era, they reissued these in gold boxes rather than in the classic black boxes. Don't unfortunately have the box. I think it got damaged and mucked up years and years ago. But that's a shame. But I've got all the parts anyway, so that's all right. Obviously, this denotes the fact that they were classic reissued is more by the multicoloured Transformers logo on the leaflets, and slight difference obviously on the leaflets from the original G1 first issue of these figures. Ironhide in himself is in pretty good shape. One thing a lot of these G1s suffer with, I don't know if you can pick that out, is tyre cracking. Now obviously as rubber gets older it perishes, and you can see that these vehicle Transformers from the original line do suffer considerably with it. One day I might pick him up some new tyres, or even get a reissue just to put some new fresh tyres on him. But if you're careful with them they will stay together. He came with a large blaster, a little red peg which will become apparent what that's for, and 3 missiles. He's quite different, as you can probably see from the leaflet, from the Ironhide you may know from the newer movies, and even quite different from the original G1 cartoon. This obviously was out as a Diaclone or a Microman, I'm not sure which one he came under, probably Diaclone figure originally. So they kind of built the cartoon around them. He's not that accurate to the cartoon, as obviously is Ratchet, because obviously they're based on the same mould. I'll transform him for you now. To start with, you start with the rear cab part, which becomes a kind of sled for him to ride on. You've got to fold down the back, which has got his rub sign on, which actually becomes the front of it. And then you take the sides and they fold down like so, and then you've got some chrome tracks in here which are on a pivot, and they go out. You actually sort of almost got to get them out with the sides up. It makes it a little bit awkward to get hold of them, so you have to open it up to get hold of them, bring them down and then open that back out. And then you've got this silver section inside which then becomes a missile launcher, which obviously these ones fit into, and which obviously again with a little red button is sprung loaded to fire them. I'll try that. There's a little bit of cellophane stuck on that one. I'll just try them for you. There you go, still works after all these years. An odd little thing, oh there is another little, that's another thing I forgot there. There is another track what's got to come out, which is the front track, which folds underneath like so, just folds out from inside that hole there, and that just brings it a little bit more up level like so. Now with the larger weapon and the red peg, you put those together like so to form that part, and that goes in a hole just behind that little sort of windscreen there. Again, very odd sort of contraption in itself, and totally sort of a million miles away from the G1 cartoon Ironhide, in so much as he never had any sort of piece of equipment like this, as far as I know, in any episode. But that's as much as that is. Now for the basic figure, which is obviously this part here, I'll move the sled out of the way and put the weapons over there so I'll bring it more in for you. Again, not a great deal to it. You simply transform him by turning the back sections to form his feet, like so. Then you've got to pull out the sides and they're on a metal pivot. You flip the front of the cab up like so, and that unfortunately is it. Now you swing those rounds obviously because these are supposed to be his hands, and that unfortunately is ironhide. Now you can get kits where you can fit on better arms, shoulders and heads. There are a couple for heads, but the better one does actually come with shoulders and arms, so you just tuck these arms out of the way almost like a backpack, and then you get a proper more G1 look. I haven't actually got that. I have actually got the smaller heads, but I'll do a review on them as a separate entity. The only downside to those is you have to be very careful because inside the windscreen is like a little sticker application which is supposed to be a head, which will get damaged by sliding on these replacement heads. So it's sort of umming and ahhing whether or not to actually use them. As you can see, pretty basic figure. Not the greatest Transformer of all time, although his character is very popular, and obviously since the movies he's got better figures. You know, what can you say about this? It's classic G1, but it's not very cartoon-like. He does have the other feature that he can actually stand in on the sled, like so that he can sort of be using the weapon on top there, the rocket launcher. It's a bit weird, let's face facts, it's not brilliant. Obviously you've got to watch the chrome parts, chrome wear, as they will all suffer with it the more you pull them about. But then he is G1, and I suppose in that way, you know, he holds a special part in the Transformer lore. But as I say, it's not cartoon accurate. It's a classic sort of version where they used an existing toy to incorporate it into the Transformer line to begin with Diaclone and Microman. Obviously then after the initial release and where it became popular, they actually built ones to order, if you like, for the actual toy line. If you're a completist and you really like G1, then you should really own sort of this and Ratchet, who I will do a review on. I do own Ratchet as well. Yeah, it's something you'd want to pick up if you're a completist for G1. If you're just a Transformers fan, you know, if you can pick one up reasonable, yeah, go for it. But if you're really just into your bots for what they can do and sort of like being more accurate to the actual cartoons and that, you'd probably want to go for more, say, like the classics line, what they're doing these days, as that is at least a little bit more ironhide looking. Yeah, so that's about it really. That's a G1 review of ironhide. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please rate or comment if there's anything you want to ask a question about. And thanks for watching. I'll see you again for another G1 Transformers review.